What's going on today, guys? I cannot wait to share this with you. This took me down yet another rabbit hole, and there are so many twists and turns. So I'm going to let you see this, and then we'll get into it.
Look, you ain't learned yet. It's raining. What? Take me home. This man still trying to speak. It's raining outside, y'all. He's still trying to speak. Look,
take me home.
For real, you not about to kill me and the baby. You gonna kill no baby. Why you trying to take out? It's wet outside, baby. We could only get there so fast. You know what? I gotta become rich. I gotta buy my baby a helicopter, y'all, because he don't like stopping at lights. Nothing. He don't give that stop signs, because baby don't go. For real, I gotta buy my baby a jet or something. He do not like to wait at these. He don't like to wait at the lights. He don't like to stop at stop signs. He be going around traffic. This man, he has to be stopped. Somebody got no, but no, you need a greater force than that. He has to be stopped. Somebody stop him. He has to be stopped. This is ridiculous. I'm not gonna live past 25. I'm not gonna make it. Not like this. Oh no. I might as well pray every day. Make sure I make it into heaven. Even though I do that anyways. I don't know what I was getting myself into. I don't know what I signed up for.
So hearing those words from Sade Dixon, no one ever thought that those would be some of the last words that she would ever speak. So, leading up to that, the cops had pulled Sade Dixon and Markeith Loyd over. Now, there are some things that are said because the camera's rolling during the whole stop. And I'll leave the whole entire video linked below so you can go watch it. But there are some things said, and then you saw the video clip that I just showed. And as long as YouTube don't make me take it down, it'll still be there. But if I have to cut it out, like I said, everything will be linked below. So, basically, the beginning of it shows them waiting on the cop to approach. And then it continues filming once they're let go with a warning. This was a major headline in Orlando, Florida. So, Markeith Loyd and Sade Dixon, they were in a newer relationship. They had only been together for like 3 months when Sade finds out that she's pregnant, and 2 months. So, I guess a month into the relationship, she actually got pregnant with Markeith's baby. Now, Markeith was 41 and Sade was 24. And Sade's mom didn't like it. She knew it was not a good relationship for her daughter to be in. And as most moms are, she was very vocal about it. She is quoted as saying, and she said this because I watched the entire court proceedings. So she said it again in the court proceedings. She called Markeith Loyd a 40-year-old, used a racial slur, pedophile. But Sade was pregnant, and so she asked her mom, do you mind if Markeith comes over for Thanksgiving dinner? And so her mom reluctantly agreed, but Markeith come over for Thanksgiving dinner. After dinner, Sade's stepdad had, a dad talk with him about taking care of the baby. And so that was that. So now I'm going to take you to the night that everything goes horribly wrong. So on December the 3rd, 2016, Sade and the rest of the Dixon Daniels family was having dinner when Sade gets a phone call on her cell phone, and she goes outside. Now, just 3 days prior to this, Sade had moved back home because of a argument she would, tell her mom, Stephanie, we had an argument, I want to come back home. But what she did not tell her was that this was a fight. Markeith ended up biting Sade in the back so bad that she had to have medical attention. Okay, so back to December the 3rd. They're outside talking, and her brother Dominique comes home from playing basketball. He's dropped off. He starts walking in the house. He looks over, everything good. Walks in the house, goes and takes a shower, and calls his girlfriend. Now, her brother Ronald heard what sounded like an argument outside, and he went out to ask if everything was okay. At this time, their mom is fixing a plate of food for the little grandbaby that's over, and she's going up to her room. It's at this time that Stephanie, the mom, and Dominique, her other brother, hear pow, pow, pow. And they both jump up and they run downstairs and fling open the door. So when they do, they see Markeith Loyd standing over by his car, and he's throwing his hands up. So Dominic pushes Stephanie back in. They close the door. There's more shots fired. So after that settles, Stephanie and Dominic open the door. And what they see is a horrifying sight for anyone, much less a mom. Stephanie sees Sade laying over on the side of the porch, and she's not making any sounds. So she leans down to try to take a pulse. She's giving her CPR. It's my baby, my baby. But meanwhile, Ronald is also down on the other side. Now he's making some noise, and other family members are tending to Dominique. Well, 911 is called, and it takes them 13 minutes to get there. So when they arrive, Sade is pronounced dead, and Ronald is transported to the hospital in critical condition. He had shots in his abdomen, though I read chest, so maybe it's in this, kind of region. But during court, he was saying it felt like somebody just, punched him in the stomach. So I've heard both, but, we'll just call it this region. So naturally, being I told you that he was testifying in the court trial, Ronald does survive. So the afternoon of December the 14th, Stephanie Dixon Daniels, the mom, and Ron Dixon would hold a press conference because Markeith Loyd is on the run. And keep in mind, this happened December the 3rd, and here we are on December the 14th, okay? So they were begging the community to help find her daughter's killer. And also the killer of her grandchild that was in Sade's stomach. So Stephanie would say, we would like the killer, you know who you are, to turn yourself in. Don't make them come and get you. Now later on in the evening, about 5:15 p.m., the Orange County Sheriff's Office named Lloyd as a suspect. You think? So anyway, the news release listed Lloyd as being armed and dangerous. On December the 15th, Markeith Loyd's criminal record would start getting out there. And actually, in 1998, he was arrested for murder. But that charge was later dropped because the key witness in the case lied. In 98, he's also accused of battery on a law enforcement officer, for which he would spend 4 years in jail. So here we are, December the 15th. This took place on December the 3rd. So now here is where the story takes an even darker turn. Can it get much darker than killing your girlfriend and your unborn baby? But yes, ma'am, yes, sir, it can. And so on January the 9th, 2017, Markeith Loyd was at a local Walmart. He had been hiding in plain sight, and he's been very vocal about that. Riding a bicycle. There were actually people arrested that were helping him out. So he's at the local Walmart buying him some food. And Officer Debra Clayton for the Orlando Police Department is there as well. Now there's video footage of this. And if I can put it right here, I will show it now. If you don't see anything, it's because I had to take it down.
Well, Ginger, this is the first time we are seeing video of both Markeith Loyd and Lt Debra Clayton. Lloyd, you see here, walked in the door at 6:45 on the dot. And then 15 minutes later, you saw Lt Debra Clayton walk in. They both began shopping, crossing paths a couple of times, unsuspecting of what would come. He looks like an unusual shopper, wearing a security sweatshirt and camo pants, but grocery shopping like anyone else. But prosecutors say this is a cold-blooded killer, moments before he would kill again. Seen shopping at the Princeton Street Walmart for about 15 minutes before Orlando Police Lieutenant Debra Clayton's SUV pulls in. A minute later, you see her grab a cart and walk into the Walmart at 7 a.m. on the dot. She heads to the produce aisle first, is there for a few minutes, while Markeith Loyd is seen coming out of the bathroom at 7:04. For the next 10 minutes or so, the two are seen shopping, crossing paths every few minutes. This is Lieutenant Clayton walking past the cosmetic line at 7:09 a.m. 3 minutes later, you see Lloyd walk by too. By now, Lieutenant Clayton was checking out, while Lloyd, who was in the same line as Clayton, decides to check out on the other side of the store. It was while he was in line to check out there, the most chilling moment occurred at 7:15 a.m. Watch closely as Lieutenant Clayton, on the way out of the Walmart and to work, walks right past Lloyd, checking out. Having no idea, less than 3 minutes later, she would be dead. The call coming in over the radio at 7:18, an officer was down.
It is no secret around town that Markeith Loyd is wanted. His picture's plastered everywhere. Debra Clayton takes her bags out, and another shopper goes up to her because she's in uniform and says, That is the guy that's on the TV. That's Markeith Loyd. So Debra Clayton calls for backup, and then she tries to apprehend him. And when she does this, she's made a fatal mistake. He shoots Officer Clayton. And though she fires back, Markeith is wearing body armor. He's got a bulletproof vest on. And what I found, I guess no bearing on it, but it was just an odd moment for me, was he was wearing a black shirt with, you've seen him with the security in white letters on top. He was wearing that with his bulletproof vest on. He was ready. So though she fired back, it didn't matter. Now, he would only hit her in the thighs, I believe it was the stomach, or the medical examiner said all of those were survivable. But what did Markeith do? He walked over to Officer Clayton, stood over her, and shot her again, and it went in through her neck. That was the fatal shot. Cold-blooded. So yeah, it can take a darker turn, and it did. Now, even though it only took the backup 28 seconds to get there, Markeith stole a vehicle and he fled. He was gone. So then a massive manhunt ensued. Now, during this manhunt, another officer would be in a collision. I read that he was on a motorcycle and that a truck turned and got him, but he was part of the manhunt, and his name was Norm Lewis. So while Markeith Loyd may not be directly the cause of Officer Lewis's death, he's indirectly. So it's, blood is just all over this dude's hands at this moment. The reward was up to $100,000. He was on Crime Stoppers. He was known as the FBI's most wanted person. He was also on the U.S. Marshals list. Markeith was able to evade capture for 9 more days. And on January the 17th, my birthday, 2017, he is finally apprehended. And that apprehension opened up another issue. So they were able to ping his phone and they had also wiretapped his cell phone. And he was texting people, and so they were able to pinpoint him to an abandoned house. Okay, so they go in and they get him, and there's a helicopter above, filming everything. They bring him out, and the helicopter video shows them kicking Markeith, beating him in the face with the butt end of their... And then the camera pans away.
It's crawled all the way out across the sidewalk towards the units.
This chopper video is the only video known to exist, showing Markeith Loyd being arrested in January of 2017. Lloyd is still awaiting trial for the murders of his pregnant ex-girlfriend, Sade Dixon, and Orlando Police Lieutenant Debra Clayton. In that video, you can see several officers kicking Lloyd as he surrenders, before the camera pans away. As part of the investigation by the Office of the State Attorney, we've learned 4 Orlando police officers went as far as kicking Lloyd and using the end of a rifle to hit Lloyd in the face and back.
when the next time you see Markeith, his eye is jacked up. And I'll explain that in a minute. His face is all bloody, you know. And what had actually happened was they broke his orbital socket. And he ended up losing that eye. He had to have surgery, ended up losing the eye. So there was a whole deal about that because, you know, emotions were filed. So an investigation was launched into the beating as well. Now, it was stated that they kicked him and did all of that because they said he was resisting and he was wearing the body armor, in which when you pat somebody down or, you know, you're just looking, you can't see or feel weapons. And he ended up having 2 on him, and one had a 100-round drum. I mean, it's like a small, but it had that drum clipped up in there. So he was packing. So they deemed it as justified, and it was justified under Florida's stand your ground law. There is an interrogation video online. It's a long interrogation, but I will link that below as well. Watch the whole thing. So when they apprehended him, the cuffs that they used on him were Debra Clayton's handcuffs. And he kept saying, these are too tight. These are too tight. Please help me. You know, it's cutting off the circulation. And by this time, he has formed a whole audience of police officers, which they say is very rare. But nobody was loosening those cuffs. They kept saying, you know, we're going to get you, we're finding the key. Which, I don't know, morally, you lean one way, ethically, I don't know. But alas. But that interrogation video is there. And you can see that he's been through it before, because he basically is not saying a whole lot except for his handcuffs are tight, you know, that kind of stuff. Now, Markeith Loyd's first trial would be for Sade and the unborn baby. So first degree of an unborn child, attempted first degree on Ronald. And then there were 2 more charges for the shots being fired towards Stephanie and Dominique. So he had many outbursts during this trial, and all of that can be seen online. Now, it would come out in court that Sade had grabbed her before going out to talk with Markeith that evening. Now, Markeith claims that he took the away from Sade and put it in his back pocket, and that at one point it was gone, which it had fallen on the ground. But he thought that when she lifted her hand up, that she was about to shoot him. So he fired. And when he fired, he ended up shooting her and Ronald. So, but that's his tale. I kind of sit on mine, you know. But so he says he felt threatened and he was in fear for his life, and he just reacted. He became, you know, went in warrior mode, you know, the fight or flight. He fought. And now, if y'all hear some little background noises, my dog decided to come downstairs and visit, so he's over there. So if you hear any little weird noises, it's just my dog. Okay. But when they had apprehended Markeith, he had written a 10-page letter, and they got that as evidence. And it was stating why he killed her. And in one part in there, it says that the killing of the unborn child was an unintentional consequence. Yes. Killing his baby was an unintentional consequence. Court records had 20 minutes after Sade had been shot, Markeith texted her and said, "Don't know if you go make it. I hope you don't." Now in court, he said that autocorrect messed that up, and he actually meant, "I hope you do." Right. Then there was another one that said, "All you had to do was answer my calls, but you was doing you." He also texted Ronald, "You caused this for interfering." Yes. So he's pushing that blame off. Now, of course, as in a lot of cases, where some is actually totally legit, but they're going to throw mental illness in here. They did have Markeith seen by doctors, and he was diagnosed with grandiose and paranoid delusions. The doctor would say that he thinks that he's grander, bigger than he is, and he always thinks that someone is out to get him, in which a lot of people would say that it's true, because he always thought that somebody was after him. Another doctor would say that he suffered from PTSD, from horrible beatings from his mom, and he had been robbed because he was a food delivery person for a local chicken restaurant there, and he had been robbed. And he had also seen some things growing up. His cousin was murdered, things like that. So they said that he did suffer from PTSD as well. So I'm actually going to read something that I printed off because I want to get it right. This is actually what he was found guilty of, because of course he was found guilty, right? So, first-degree murder, 1 count. First-degree murder of an unborn child. First-degree premeditated murder. And then it was basically 2 more counts of attempted murder. So there were 5 counts on that one. Now comes the penalty phase. Now in Florida, you can get the death penalty. So the jury has to decide to recommend life or recommend death to the judge. Now, before jury selection had ever even started for this trial, they were all asked if they could view this unborn child as a person. And they all answered yes. Well, one juror didn't hold up to that. And because of that one juror, and with, I guess, Sade bringing them out herself, ladies and gentlemen, Markeith Loyd was sentenced to life without. But we still got Debra Clayton's trial coming up. So Debra Clayton's trial was pretty much cut and dry. There was camera footage, there were lots of witnesses, and for Officer Clayton, he was found guilty for her as well. Now, of course, he would be found guilty in this case. But the big question was, would he get the death sentence? Prosecution argued that giving him another life sentence wouldn't punish him any. And that's true, because he already had one. What punishment would he possibly be getting from another life sentence, right? So they were pushing the death penalty for Officer Clayton. And then Markeith Loyd's family would give testimony to his character, trying to save his life. You know, they would say that he did things all the time to help the family, was always there, try to make you laugh, give you the shirt off his back, you know, that kind of thing. But the jury ultimately decided to recommend the death penalty, and the judge would have the final word. So, on March the 3rd, 2022, Markeith Loyd was sentenced to death and is currently on death row in the Florida Department of Corrections. Now, of course, the defense will be filing their appeals and doing what they do. And if the appeal processes do not work, he will eventually have a date set. But we all know how long that can take. But I can tell you right now, it won't be anytime soon. So I just want to remind you guys that there is so much court footage, documents. Markeith Loyd has a Facebook page that is currently being ran, I'm assuming, by his daughter. But on this Facebook page, he actually goes live, but it's like, I think it's through like the telephone system, and they're putting, you know, the phone up to it, but you can hear it. There's documents being posted on there. I mean, things you probably shouldn't do when you're, I guess, unless you're trying to appeal to, you know, someone to try to help him, kind of like Melissa Lucio, but Melissa Lucio's situation was completely different. So, guys, if you are into this story, there is plenty to see. My suggestion is to watch the entire video from when they're in the car and watch the entire interrogation video. If you want to see the whole trial, it's all there, and like I said, I'll have it linked below. But what do you think about Markeith Loyd? Just another pure evil person to me. That's just my personal opinion. You know, of course it could have been like he said, you know, he fighting for his life, but then you think about Debra Clayton and then him standing over her, and that was the fatal blow, being she could have survived the others. Why did he have to shoot at her? He had the body armor on. He could already flee. I mean, he stole a car to flee. Why didn't he just do that to begin with? So not only Debra Clayton, but then you've got the other officer that was killed as part of the MANHUNT team. There's just so many lives lost. And saying that his unborn child's killing was an unintentional consequence. There are some things I just can't get past in this case. But what do you think? How do you feel? What are your opinions? Let's keep them nice. As far as, you know, if you have different opinions with each other, let's keep everything respectful, or I'll delete them. So, I can take it. You want to come at me, that's fine. But I'd rather you wouldn't. But I'm not going to have people attacking each other in my comment section. Other than that, guys, I hope that you will like this video, you know, and go ahead and, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and tap that post notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload new videos. I upload a new true crime video once a week. I'll do more as time permits. I think I'm getting a little bit better at it. I may try some different things with my backgrounds, and so if you want to see the evolving channel, subscribe. Take the journey with me. But other than that, guys, that is all I got, and I hope you all have a fabulous day. And again, my name is Angie, and I have just uploaded. See y'all later.